Coming up today on David versus Goliath.
The war started and essentially development pretty much halted. Some of the guys were recruited to go and fight.
You wake up every morning and you grab a bowl of trade, and that's what you eat every single day.
Welcome to today's episode of David versus Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGraide.
Hey everyone, it's Adam DeGraide from the David versus Goliath podcast. Hopefully everyone's having a great day. Today we have Aroussi from Traderlogics. He's the CEO and founder, a software company dedicated to making market trading, including crypto, easier and more effective and efficient. Should be very interesting. Today's episode is brought to you by AutomateMySocial.com, where if you're a small business, you can automate 90 to 100% of your social media, the creation of it, the strategy of it, the deployment of it. And one company even said the other day when they switched over to AutomateMySocial.com, they saved $48,000 a year plus benefits. Just think about that. Check it out today at AutomateMySocial.com. You can also visit us online at DavidVSGoliathPodcast.com. There you can subscribe and apply to be on the podcast. Well, with no further ado, let's get right into it. Ran, welcome to the David versus Goliath podcast.
Hi, welcome everybody, and thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Now, I always pre-record my intros, and I'm usually right about the pronunciation of the last name of my guests. I would say 85% of the time. How do you say your last name?
It's my last name is Aroussi. It's a bit hard. Yeah.
Aroussi. I think I did it. I think I nailed it. Aroussi. I think I did it. So we're going to find out. When you watch it a couple weeks from now, you'll know whether I got it right or not. And it's so funny because I love people with similar passions. And I was actually checking out your website, and on one part of it, you had the phrase, one API to rule them all. Clearly a reference to the Lord of the Rings and J.R. Tolkien.
Yes.
One of the Inklings from Oxford University, along with C.S. Lewis and his fellow compadres. And it was fascinating because the previous company I just sold back in 2020, the very first website that I created for that company was one system to rule them all.
Nice.
You have to. When something is that powerful and that good, you got to start there. So
exactly.
In layman's terms, because obviously when you're dealing with software code and Python and Java and all these things, it can be lost sometimes on the average business person who's thinking about starting a business. They get afraid of building software because they don't understand the technology of the terms. Yeah. Tell the folks what Traderlogics does in very simple terminology, and then we'll get into some more of the complexities later on.
You know what? Instead of telling what it is, I'll start with an analogy from something that more people know about. So let's take, for example, you're a blogger and you want to start a food blog. Okay, so you have two options. And 20 years ago, you only had the one. You have to write the blog post. You have to create the website, which means designs, programming, set up the servers, set up the domain, do all of that stuff. And at the very end, what's really important and the reason that people come to your website is because you have good content. Right? It's not because you set up the domain in a perfect way. Yeah. So if we take this analogy to the programming, to the programmatic trading world, today, in order to execute a trading strategy, and it could be very simple. It could be I want to buy a stock that was down 3 days in a row because I'm expecting some bounce back. Okay, so it doesn't have to be rocket science. So the rule itself is very simple. If it's down 3 days, buy. But now you have to wear a ton of different hats. You have to fetch the data and clean it and set up the servers and the connectivity and monitor your position. There's a lot of technical stuff that goes into that. But at the end of the day, you're going to make or lose money due to your trading idea and not because of your technology. So if I go back to the analogy, today's world, you just hop into WordPress.com, Wix.com, or whatever, just focus on the content. You don't really have to bother yourself with the underlying technology. And we want to bring that same level of abstraction to the trading world. So you can focus on your great trading idea and not about connectivity, execution, risk management, all that stuff.
That makes a lot of sense now. So when I read your website, it says you focus on your agro, which I believe means algorithm, short for algorithm, and then we'll take care of the rest. So it's almost like Traderlogics has built the plumbing, so to speak, to connect all of these platforms together. You can then layer on top of it your business rules that you think is your genius trading strategy. And you can set up rules like stock down 3 days, this percentage, buy. Hold for X, wait for this, sell at Y, right? So that's kind of the way you built the software. And so people can layer their own personal trading strategy, or a company can layer its own personal trading strategy onto the backbone of your plumbing and your connectivity to the different networks to trade effectively and efficiently. Am I saying that pretty accurately?
You're saying it perfectly. That's exactly the idea. We see ourselves as...
Again, man, I'm saying it perfectly. I mean, if you need someone in sales, I'm looking for a job. I mean...
Come on board.
I'm hired. I'm sorry, continue on.
But yeah, we see ourselves as like an AWS type of platform that's specifically designed for trading. So we have lots of different products that you can, as you mentioned, you can use and layer on top of each other, just like Lego, to build your own custom design platform that's right for your trading style. Because here it is. There's something about, building a platform like this. You cannot create like an experience that isn't obstructed just because there are so many different trading styles. Some people are portfolio traders, some are intraday, some long short, some futures, forex, crypto. There's tons of different instruments. So there's really no way to create one platform that will cater to all of these different trading styles, unless you break it down into its core components, and now people can use this Lego type of architecture to build exactly what they need. And it sounds maybe a bit more complex than it is, but it just as you mentioned, you set up the rules. Okay, so if this happens in the market, just let me know, send a ping to my strategy, and I will execute an order. Once it's executed, Traderlogics will take over, monitor your P&L, let you know if something is out of your thresholds. And so it's very easy for you to just really focus on the if-then part of the business and not the whole technical, the other technical aspects of it.
Yeah, it's amazing how many different pieces of technology I'm even integrating in my new CRM software, marketing automation software. Right. We have a lot of pipelines that have been built because the pipeline's the biggest pain in the butt to manage. Yep. And if you know what you want to do and you have a good idea for it, it can, you can layer that, the foundation, the plumbing, so to speak, and then you can build the pretty mausoleum on top of it to make people enjoy their experience. Now, you did mention a couple of really awesome technologies that have evolved over the years. You mentioned WordPress, you mentioned Wix, you look at Squarespace, all these, even GoDaddy's web builder, is managing the CSS so people don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
And then then you have these amazing programs like Canva that have been added into the graphical world, where graphic artists are contributing their talents, but an average Joe like Ran, an average Joe like Adam can still look like we're amazing graphic artists because we are leveraging good graphic artist templates. Is that something that Traderlogics is also providing? So in other words, you're not just providing the plumbing, but are you providing the drag and drop functionality to build the if-then statements, or are you relying more on somebody who has that programming knowledge on the top layer, so to speak, the UI, UX world, and even some of their language, whether it's Java or Python or C++ or whatever the case may be? Is it more
It's somewhere in between. I mean, we provide you with a drag and drop interface, for example, to build pipelines. So to filter down, let's say that you don't know which stocks you want to trade today. You just want them to follow a specific set of rules. So the volume is unusually high, and they had an earnings report yesterday, whatever it is. So you build your pipeline, and you start with the entire S&P 500, and you filter it down to I don't know, 5, 10 stocks or whatever it is. So to build something like this, you definitely you're using our drag and drop interface and all that kind of cool stuff. But at the end of the day, when it comes to sending the data to your strategy, there is some coding that you have to do. Now, the approach that we took is we'll do as much for you as possible, but at the end of the day, you're the one that has to make the trading decision proactively. So we do not want to, based on your rules, just send an order and take control over your money. We just don't want that to happen. So we're gonna let you make you as give you as much information as possible for you to make the trading decision, and then you can send your order. So you do need to still do some coding, but your code base is about 2% of what it used to be, just because we take care of all the other stuff.
Instead of 1,000 lines of
really
code,
filtered down.
You're writing 20 lines of code instead of 1,000 because you've already written the other.
Definitely.
That's great.
Definitely.
So, Rand, we're going to take a break from our first corporate sponsor here on David versus Goliath. But stay tuned. You're with Rand from Traderlogics, the handsome host, Adam DeGraide, from the David versus Goliath podcast. Here's a very important message from Automate My Social, leveraging technology to save thousands. We'll be right back.
Do you own a business? Do you have or need a social media presence? If you are like most businesses, you spend either no time or too much time and money on your social media strategy, spending thousands of dollars per month only to get mediocre and inconsistent results. This leads to frustration and, in some cases, sleepless nights. Introducing AutomateMySocial.com. Automate 90% of your social media and never have to think about it again. That's right. Automate your business's social media posting and strategy like forever. Automate the essentials and customize only what's needed. Save time, save money, and get better results with AutomateMySocial.com. Our patent-pending technology gives you the ability to automatically create your social post and distribute them immediately, like in seconds, across all your social media platforms. Stop the madness of paying someone to create, post, and manage your strategy, and let our software do the work, so you don't have to. Oh, and if you're an agency or social media manager, you too can let our software do all the work, and you can get all the credit. It will be our little secret. With AutomateMySocial.com, you can have it all. It's easy to use, never complains, and never asks for time off or more benefits. See this amazing new software application at AutomateMySocial.com. If you own a business or manage client social media and want to save time, energy, money, all while increasing your return on investment, then let's get this party started at AutomateMySocial.com.
And we're back with the guy who eats trading for a living, Rand from Traderlogics. There's no doubt about it. You wake up every morning and you grab a bowl of trade, and that's what you eat every single day. Now, I love to talk about people when we talk about business, because it's one of the 5 pillars. You've got plans and goals. You've got the right people. You've got the right technology. You have the right process. Your people are using these tools and technology. And then you have courage to start your own business. One of the things I thought was fascinating when I was reading on your website here, a little bit about preparing for this, because I do, believe it or not, I'm not just another pretty face. I actually spend time and like to read about the people.
And it is a pretty face.
Oh, it's so pretty. It makes myself sick. It's like Echo and Narcissus. I don't know if you know anything about those Greek gods. I stare at myself in the reflection and go, "Oh, you're so beautiful." No, I don't do that. But anyway, it talked about how you're currently leveraging some of your people resources in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And you started a company during a world global pandemic, whether or not you believe there was a pandemic. I didn't mean to say pandemic. I'll get banned off if I say the wrong thing. Pandemic or not. There was still a pandemic and we all got screwed by it, no matter what it was. And then you couple that now with the fact that a part of your team is in the Ukraine. That seems like a lot of like headwind, right, for you. Talk to the folks a little bit about the structure of your team, some of the challenges you've had starting during a world pandemic, and then continuing now working with people that are in the middle of a crisis themselves.
Yeah. So I actually started the company while I was still living in Israel. I've been in London for the past 2 years and a little bit more than that. So I started the company when I was in Israel, and I was looking to hire a team that will be around my time zone. I wanted a fully remote company, and I was looking for good talent from pretty much the same time zone, and Ukraine and Israel are using exact same time zone. So this was a very nice go-to. I searched for, those outsourcing companies and reviewed their codes and found one that looked great. But after a few months of working together, we formed a deeper partnership and they became fully integrated into the company.
That's great.
Then once I moved to the UK, again, right in the middle of the height of the pandemic and the lockdowns and everything. So we had to go through that. And once this was over and this was finally a time for us to actually get together and meet each other in person, something that we've never done, the war between Russia and Ukraine started.
You still haven't met him in person.
Oh yeah. So I never met them in person. No. The only two guys I met in person are the ones that I've known previously, and they're working based in Israel. But yeah, so the war started, and immediately, it really took a toll. So essentially, development pretty much halted completely for a sustained period. All our schedule kind of was pushed month after month after month with no end in sight, and some of the guys were recruited to go and fight. Some of the guys volunteered to kind of take care of their community and their town, and were in charge of providing supplies and getting their families out of main areas where there were bombings. And it was a really, really rough period. Currently, it's by no means over, but currently it's sort of gotten, it's sad to say, but it's sort of gotten used to that new normal where they have blackouts for about, scheduled blackouts for about 8 to 10 hours a day just to conserve energy. And so they're using mobile data, and thanks Apple for the long battery life on their new laptops, so they're able to do some work just to both in order to make progress and in order to kind of forget a little bit about what's going on around them and just kind of focus on work.
Now, I have a question. Brand, I got a question for you on that. So, as you being the CEO and the founder now, that's a big decision to keep that going there. Yeah. Have you had to figure out, in the event of a crisis, like an alternative for your business? Or are you are you all in on this and you're just, praying it's going to be smooth and get over quick?
Well, again, it's a bit of both. We do have had a backup plan. We've interviewed a bunch of other people from other areas, but this all comes down to both loyalty. I mean, these people have been with me since day one. And everybody, theoretically, everybody's replaceable, blah, blah, blah. But, they've been there from day one. And they've been with me, through thick and thin. They've worked, all through the night whenever it was needed. I'm just not going to say, you know what, guys, that's it. I need to switch my factory, quote unquote, to a different place. So no, I'm sticking with these guys. And also coming from Israel, I'm kind of used to the fact of, life goes on, while, bombs flying occasionally and stuff like that. So I really hope for this to be over as soon as possible. If I have to bet, I don't think it's going to be over soon. I think it will boil down to some sort of status quo type of thing, maybe in a lower intensity, but it's going to remain there for a while. This thing. Yeah. I mean, Putin, he just cannot allow himself to say, you know what, this was a mistake. Let's pack our things and go. He's not in this position. And obviously the Ukrainians are not in the position to just give away their country because someone decided that he wants it. So yeah, that's a tough situation.
It is a tough situation, but it's admirable that, you're being loyal. And I do think it's also prudent to at least have some sort of backup outside resources. God forbid something really tragic happens. But I give you a lot of credit for sticking with it. Now, internally, besides the programming staff, do you have other team members or other partners?
So yeah, I have a growth team is based in France, in Paris. I have 2 guys in Israel that I've been working with for years now, on both on the tech and the admin side, and I have a great graphic designer from Ghana in Africa. So overall, pretty happy with the team.
Africa. That's you have tech. Do you definitely have a global company? And what I love about it too is my company currently is all remote. So, one of the things that was important for us, Rand, was having people that could speak fluent in English, really fluent in English. I've worked with a lot of overseas teams myself as well. We chose some cats out of Serbia, which have done a great job. I don't know if they like calling them cats, but nevertheless, there's some cat. I'm an American, so we call people cats, cool dogs.
Yeah.
So these cats are from Serbia. They've been amazing. And the biggest benefit has been their English is just perfect. Because I'm not great. My instincts tell me, Rand, that you speak multiple languages. I can barely speak English. So I have to make sure that I work with people that actually know my native tongue, and which is a little bit New England and a little bit English. So
right.
It's been very, very beneficial. So we're going to take another break from another sponsor. And when we come back, I want to talk about 2 things. Number 1, how you funded the business, because people love to know that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then number 2, why on earth did you start this thing when you had a great job in the ad tech world? We're going to discuss that right after the break with Rand from Traderlogics and Adam DeGraide from David vs. Goliath Podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At ISU RMAC Agency, we want to be your one responsible source for all of your insurance needs. From a rocket engineer in California to several hospitals in Illinois, our personal lines team specializes in hard-to-place risks and high-net-worth clientele. With 2 locations and 20-plus agents, we can write in all 50 states to better serve our clients with needs in multiple states. Family-owned and operated since 1962 and 4 generations carrying on the tradition of insurance. Celebrating our 60th year in the industry, we are truly proud of where we have come from and where we are going. With over 300 carriers nationwide, our agency can offer individuals and businesses more choices and better prices. ISU RMAC brings a wide variety of solutions to the table. For more information, visit us online at www.isu-rmac.com.
for the final segment. And once again, I'm sure my watchers and listeners can hear that my voice is barely back. I struggle with this, whatever the hell this thing they call RSV or whatever. They have to name everything. Why do we have to name every single illness that we get? And why do we have to blame everyone for giving it to us? It's like, since I'm 51 years old, Ran, and you don't have to answer any of this, but this is just going to be my rant. I'm 51 years old. I've been sick so many times in my life. My mom didn't walk in. She didn't say to me when I was a kid, "Oh, you've got the RSV strand B from Indonesia." No, she would be like, "Hey, here's some Tylenol. Here's some Advil. Watch The Price is Right. Lay in bed. You're going to be fine."
Yep.
And today, you got to go get swabbed and you got to do this and that. I think it's all nonsense. But anyway, I did struggle with this, whatever the hell it is, and I just got over it again. And look at me. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And Rand knows that. Now, Rand, we have a lot of people that watch and listen to the David vs. Goliath podcast that have a great idea but haven't got funded yet. All right. So tell them, how did you fund Traderlogics and how are you funding it right now? And then we'll switch gears to why you decided to leave the ad tech world to take on something like this, because this is not a small feat. So funding first. Number two, why are you crazy and deciding to do this?
All right, so let's start with the funding. So when the idea came to mind, I started to create some different versions of it, and decided, you know what, this is just not going to work without funding. First, I need a way to sustain both myself and to hire a team for a long period of time in order to actually make this a dream a reality. So I started with some, it was actually kind of crazy. So I had one childhood friend that decided, you know what, I'm going to put in some money. So it was kind of the first commitment. I would have obviously taken it. I took it, but not right there and then, because I knew that I needed more. So I went to get some more in order to get a bit of pull together. I've downloaded a list of VCs that kind of invest in early stage startup in the fintech. And I started just emailing them, cold emailing with a one pager and a quick 2 minutes video that I've created. It's going to be, hey, why didn't you give me a chance and let me pitch this thing to you? And to my amazement, I've actually gotten a reply from the first one that I just went alphabetically. And my first investor was a VC from Silicon Valley called Ad Inc. They invest in early stage startups like pre-seed and seed. So they were the first kind of institutional investor. My childhood friend joined with a bunch of other angel investors. Yeah, go ahead.
Rand, hold on one second. This is important because I don't want the watchers and listeners to miss this. Because so often when a point is made that's profound, it's missed. And so I want to stop. Think about what Rand just said. First of all, he had a friend that believed in him, knew his character. That was awesome. And he's about to tell us that part of the story. But what Rand did was he knew the segment he was trying to go into. And so he started cold calling these people. He found out. He did research on his own. He created his own list. He started to smile and dial. And guess what happens?
Smile and email, but yeah.
Smile and an email. Hey, send them a little video. They're seeing your face. At least you're a human. But you did the work, man. So many people sit back and they say, oh, I don't know how to do this. I don't know where to start. You start. Have you ever heard Google? Who invests in these type of companies, early startups? And boom, they'll start to appear. And so don't be afraid of doing that. So I give you a lot of kudos, by the way, because it takes canastas and it takes determination and grit to do that. So good for you. I'm proud of you, Rand. Now, switching back, your friend's about to come on board. Tell us that story.
So we've been friends since we were 12. We've been neighbors and we went to school together. So we've essentially spent our entire childhood together. And we've been in business before. I mean, one of my first businesses was a web design and development firm back in 1997. And we were partners there.
I did that too.
Yeah, it was, we had to spend most of the meetings trying to explain what the internet is before getting to talk about the website.
It's so funny you say that, man. We literally, it was against all copyright laws, but we took the song Right Now by Van Halen and we created this. We didn't know anything about copyright laws back. I was a young kid. And so I created for car dealers, we created this thing called Right Now. And it showed how their customers are going from hating the showroom floor to going online, shopping in their pajamas. And it was so true. It's like, you couldn't even imagine a car dealer not having their inventory online. But when we started it in 97, I think is when I started my first business on the internet. When we built the software for dealers, we built a whole integrated CRM solution, the whole thing early on, early SaaS, very early SaaS. And we had to convince them that the internet was a place that people were going to be researching vehicles. And so it's so funny you say that. It's so true. Continue.
So he decided to just put in money. I pitched the idea. I said, okay, this is kind of Bloomberg 2.0. I believe that if we do this right in 10, 15 years, this could be the infrastructure for trading. And he was on board without really thinking about it too much. He got another mutual acquaintance of ours that decided to also put in some money. And two other angel investors, and all in all, we've done. I think it was like $250,000 in a pre-seed. So we got some money to move on with it. I think it was, I think about a year later when we kind of started to show some traction. We had a wait list that just kept growing, and my open source libraries also kind of gotten more and more people using them. So we got to a point where I said, you know what, let's try to go and raise a seed just because, not just because, one, because we can, and this is always a good opportunity when the market conditions just gives you that opportunity, and because we were running out of money. So these two things combined, it was a perfect moment for us.
Let's be honest, Rand. The most important thing was you're running out of money. So
definitely.
It's important. Without money, nothing's going to happen. So I think that's great.
To use an analogy from trading, the goal of someone who's trading professionally is first not lose money, and then sort of vicariously you're going to make money. The whole goal is just make sure that you have enough money to play another day. Just stay alive. So as long as you can keep the lights on, time is on your side.
That's right. That is very, very true, because a good friend of mine who was a new ageist, although I'm not a new ager, she was always into this whole concept that a void must be filled. She would always say, I was an early radio sales guy, and my pipe, let's say I had to close 10 deals a month. I'd have only 8. I've had 3 days left. She would say to me, don't worry about it, Adam. That's a void, and a void always must be filled. And I would be like,
was it?
I love it. Are you going to buy something from me? Are you just going to tell me? Are you just going to tell me a void must be filled? At some point, gibberish is gibberish. But you know what? More often than not, she's been right in my life. Like when there is a void, and there's something has to get in there, it does have a tendency to fill itself. Otherwise, crash and burn.
I agree.
And that in itself is filling itself too. Because if you're not supposed to be doing something, it'll also, fail as well too. But if you are supposed to be doing something, I believe. For me, it's God. He will absolutely make a way for you. So that's awesome. So how about, switching gears really quickly because we're running out of time. The courage it takes. I love talking about courage. I'm sure because you've seen a few episodes of this. It's not for the faint of heart to leave a good paying job with good benefits in a big ad tech sector like you were in to say, I think I can do this thing. And now you have so many other people relying on you, and that's important, right? And that's why your loyalty to the people in Ukraine that are programming with you is admirable. Yeah. There's something in you that's innately there. What is it for you that gives you that courageous spirit to not be afraid to take the risks that you're currently taking?
I don't know. Maybe I just don't know any better. when I was working in edtech, and I don't know how familiar you are with the industry, but every time you look at an ad, there's thousands of advertisers competing in real time for your. Obviously, it's done programmatically because of the speed, but there's thousands of advertisers competing in real time to get this view, to get this eyeball. And we were building exchanges for online media and doing arbitrage and serving way over 2 billion ads every day. So it was a very high techy world. And some of great minds and engineers and mathematicians worked with us on achieving these goals, and we're really doing great. But at some point, I was starting to wonder, maybe it's not wonder, it's more getting frustrated by the sheer volume of brain power that goes into showing you, a loose belly fat ad. And I really wanted to do something else. And instinctively, the ad trading and the online marketing, the online ad exchanges sounded close enough in my unprofessional, opinion, was sound close enough to real stock trading. So that's the direction I decided to kind of try. I really liked it. I started trading, discretion, using discretion, kind of manual trading. I still remember to this day the moment where I lost about $3,000 in a second. And let me just explain that the $3,000 really didn't hurt as much as the second.
I think I just lost $3,000 a second ago too, because the stock market went terrible. Anyway, keep going.
But yeah, it's the second, the fact that things were moving too fast for me to even react, that I just didn't have any chance of reacting. Even if I know exactly what to do, there's just no time. And it's not for me just sitting in front of the computer all day, staring at a chart, looking for patterns. I decided, it's going to be either fully automatic for me or not at all. And when I tried to start kind of looked at automating, I was pretty much amazed that this was a very low tech industry. You'll see in movies trading workstations that look like a hacker underground with tons of monitors, and it looks very high techy, but at the end of the day, most of the work is done in Excel. Coming from a very tech-oriented industry, I was expecting to have tools, and there weren't any. So I started to create some of them, and everything that I've created for myself to facilitate my own trading, I released as an open source libraries. Now they're getting about 500,000 installs every month. But it kind of got me both exposed to and exposure to the whole algorithmic trading community, and I kind of realized that there's also an opportunity, and this is really a product that I would like to see out there. I would really love to have a platform that will allow me, again, to go back to the basics, just focus on the trading idea and not about all the other tech stuff that surrounds it. And the sad truth is that most of your trading ideas are not going to work. Okay, otherwise it can't be too easy. Otherwise, everybody would make lots of money. So you should at least have a platform that will allow you to vet ideas quickly instead of spending weeks and months on them before you're realizing, that's crap. That's not going to cut it. So at least you now have the ability to just vet ideas in minutes and move on.
I love it. I think that's amazing. So if I get you correctly, the courage you got to do this was you just weren't so bright, and you just figured, you know what? Hey, you know what? I don't know what I don't know, but there's something about that. They call that it's blissful ignorance, right? But at the end of the day, there is a spirit that underlies that says, I'm going to go out and do something unique. I don't know what I'm going to face, but I know when I face it, I can take it on because you, your listener, you can absolutely take on your own giant. You absolutely can beat yourself, whatever your demons are. And if you're fighting a big competitor, you can find out what their tactics are and you can flank them because people absolutely do it every day. They do it to me. I do it to them. And you can have a lot of fun doing it. Now, Rand, have you had a good time being on the David versus Goliath podcast?
And I had a great time. Love the energy too.
Would you like to come back some point in the future?
Sign me up.
Listen, man, it's been a pleasure having you. How can people find you?
Just hop onto my website at traderlogics.com or, find me on Twitter. My handle is, my difficult to pronounce, last name. It's Aroussi. And I'll see you there.
That's awesome, man. Twitter's back with a vengeance. I love Elon. Elon, keep it up. It's so funny. I interviewed a guy yesterday, Rand, that said he was thinking about getting off Twitter. And I said, "Oh, what's the matter? You have a hard time with free speech and other people's opinions?" He was like, and I'm like, "Well, maybe you should stay on Twitter." He goes, "Okay."
Yeah, you don't have to follow them,
By the way, man, I don't know what happened. I'm 51 years old. You can say anything to me. Anybody can come and tell me anything they want to tell me. I can take in what I think is okay. I can spit out what I think is not. And that's what's beautiful about being an adult. When you're an adult, you can share free ideas and free expressions, and you can even disagree with somebody and still like them. Well, Rand, thank you so much for joining us on David versus Goliath podcast. Guys, we'll see you next week. Everyone have an awesome day.